Picture this, it's a Tuesday night in Concord, North Carolina. The lights are off at the Trackhouse Racing shop, but in a hangar across town, Michael Jordan is staring at a spreadsheet, and on that spreadsheet is one name, one Kiwi name, Shane Van Gisbergen. Because here's the truth nobody wants to say out loud. The greatest road course driver to ever touch a stock car is currently trapped in a team that just unveiled shiny new Red Bull paint schemes for him, smiled for the cameras, and then watched him qualify 28th on another oval while their golden boy Connor Zilisch got the engineering meeting first. 7 races into 2026, SVG's average oval finish outside the top 20. And while our Kiwi King is putting in the hard yards on tracks he never grew up on, MJ is doing what MJ does best, hunting, watching, waiting, because if Tyler Reddick can win 4 of the first 6 races in a Toyota Camry this season, what could Shane Van Gisbergen do in that same car? That's not a question. That's a rescue mission. And tonight we're decoding it. Let's get one thing straight right out of the gate. Trackhouse Racing did not discover Shane Van Gisbergen. Shane Van Gisbergen rocked up to Chicago in 2023, jumped in a car he'd never sat in before on a street circuit nobody had ever raced, and won the bloody thing on debut. That wasn't a fluke. That was a 3-time Supercars champion announcing himself to America. Trackhouse won the lottery. And what have they done with the winning ticket? They've handed half the prize money to the new kid. Now look, Connor Zilisch is a generational talent. Nobody's denying that. The kid's got hands and he's got pace, but here's where it gets truly suspicious. Since Zilisch was promoted to that full-time Cup ride in the 87 car, the entire technical focus of Trackhouse has shifted. The simulator time, the wind tunnel slots, the engineering bandwidth, and owner Justin Marks himself has publicly called SVG a cheat code. But only on road courses. Read between the lines, mates. That's not a compliment. That's a label. That's a ceiling. Here's a stat that'll cook your brain. Through the first 7 races of 2026, the average finishing position across the 3 Trackhouse Chevrolets on non-drafting ovals tells a brutal story. Ross Chastain, a former championship contender, is struggling. Zilisch is getting flashes, but nothing consistent, and SVG is being asked to learn ovals at the Cup level with what appears to be the 3rd best equipment in his own garage. Fair dinkum. How is a bloke supposed to win a championship like that? And let's talk about the Chevrolet side of this. Hendrick Motorsports gets the crown jewels of the Chevy program. Trackhouse, they're a satellite, a customer, a respected one, sure, but a customer nonetheless. So when SVG rolls up to Las Vegas or Kansas, he's not just fighting the field, he's fighting an engine program that's already been picked over by Larson, Byron, Elliott, and Bowman before the parts even get shipped to Concord. But here's the part that's really got the ANZAC faithful filthy. Watch the body language, watch the press releases. Every single Trackhouse announcement for 2026 has Zilisch's name first. Every marketing push, every future of the sport headline, SVG, a man who has won everything there is to win in the Southern Hemisphere, is being positioned as the seasoned veteran, helping the rookie develop. He's 36 years old, he's not a mentor, he's a weapon, and the silence from Trackhouse on a contract extension speaks louder than any Red Bull paint scheme. There are already whispers, and I mean loud whispers, that sponsorship dollars from Red Bull are tied tighter to Zilisch's long-term arc than to SVG's, which means every road course, when Shane delivers, isn't building his future at Trackhouse. It's funding somebody else's. That's not loyalty, that's exploitation dressed up in a press release. So when Rick Hendrick reportedly came knocking with what insiders called the golden offer, and when Joe Gibbs Racing's name started floating around in the rumor mill, suddenly Justin Marks's confident smile started looking a little forced, because deep down Trackhouse knows. They know they're holding a Ferrari and driving it like a Corolla. And the question every Kiwi and Aussie fan is screaming at their telly right now is the same one I've been screaming for 6 months. Why is nobody talking about 23X11? Quick pause. If you're sick of seeing our Kiwi King treated like a second-tier driver and you want to join a community that demands justice for SVG, hit that subscribe button right now. We're building the strongest ANZAC NASCAR family right here on NASCAR Nation Decoded. We don't do PR spin. We don't do corporate nonsense. We decode the truth. Stay loud. Stay loyal. Now let's get into the real Masterstroke. While everyone was looking at the trophies, MJ was looking at the data. Let me paint you a picture of what 2026 actually looks like at 23XY Racing. Tyler Reddick, 4 wins in the first 6 races for Bubba Wallace, running consistent top 10s. Michael Jordan himself standing in victory lane, fist clenched, doing the thing he's done his entire life, winning. The Camry is statistically the dominant car of the 2026 Cup season so far. Not the Chevy, not the Mustang, the Toyota. And here's why that matters for Shane Van Gisbergen. Toyota Racing Development, TRD, runs a completely different philosophy from Chevrolet's Hendrick-centric model. TRD treats every Toyota team as a partner, not a satellite. The engineering pipeline between TRD, Joe Gibbs Racing, and 23X1 is genuinely collaborative. Data flows both ways, setups are shared, and critically, the Toyota engine package in 2026 has shown an absolute monster of a horsepower advantage on intermediate ovals, the exact tracks where SVG is currently bleeding points. You drop Shane Van Gisbergen into a 23XY Toyota with that engine, with that aero package, with Reddick's setup notes sitting on his desk every Monday morning. You don't just fix the oval problem, you weaponize the man, but the technical side is only half the story. Let's talk about the human side. Let's talk about Michael Jordan. This is a man who once said he took every loss personally, a man who built an empire on the simple philosophy that second place is the first loser. Does that sound like a culture that would label a 3-time Supercars champion as just a road course specialist? Not a chance in hell. MJ's win at all costs mentality is the exact match for SVG's aggression. Shane is a proper legend in the rough stuff. He'll send it 3 wide into a corner that 2 wide is barely fitting. He'll bang doors at 180 miles an hour and apologize later, if at all. That's not a Trackhouse driver. That's a Jordan driver. And Denny Hamlin, MJ's co-owner, Hamlin's been screaming from the rooftops for 2 years that road course aces are the most underrated commodity in the Cup garage. He's been begging the sport to take drivers like SVG seriously. You don't think Hamlin's already drafted the offer sheet in his head? Here's the part that should keep Justin Marks awake at night. The 23XY/Joe Gibbs Racing Technical Alliance is arguably the strongest 2-team partnership in the entire Cup Series right now. When Reddick learns something at Kansas, Christopher Bell knows about it by Tuesday. When Bell finds a setup tweak at Vegas, Bubba's got it by Thursday. That's 4 cars worth of data feeding into every weekend. Compare that to Trackhouse 3 cars, satellite Chevy engines, and owner publicly questioning whether his star driver can ever truly master ovals. The gap isn't a gap anymore. It's a chasm. And then there's the Toyota Supra connection. SVG already has Toyota DNA in his blood from his supercars days. The brand knows him. The brand respects him. And there's a marketing story there that practically writes itself. The global Toyota family, from Bathurst to Daytona, all under one banner. MJ would sell that story for billions. Imagine it for a second. Shane Van Gisbergen, number 45 Toyota, Michael Jordan on the pit box, Denny Hamlin in his ear, the full might of TRD behind him, Sonoma 2027, Watkins Glen 2027, Chicago 2027. He doesn't just win those, he laps the field, but now, with proper equipment underneath him, he's also running top 5 at Charlotte, top 10 at Texas. Suddenly, that Championship 4 conversation isn't a fantasy. It's a forecast. That's not a transfer. That's a coronation. So here's the question I want every single one of you to think about as we wrap this up. Justin Marks built Trackhouse Racing on the back of bold, gutsy decisions. He signed SVG when nobody else would. He gave Daniel Suarez a home. He turned Ross Chastain into a star. The man has vision, but is he about to commit the single biggest mistake in modern NASCAR history? Is he about to let the greatest road racer of his generation walk straight into Michael Jordan's garage because he was too busy polishing Connor Zilisch's helmet? And here's the kicker, the mystery we're cracking open in the next video. There's a specific clause in SVG's current Trackhouse deal that almost nobody is talking about. A clause that could trigger as early as the end of the season, and what we've dug up about that clause, and about a very quiet meeting that allegedly took place in Charlotte 3 weeks ago between a certain Kiwis management and a certain Chicago Bulls Legends people. Well, that's a story that's going to blow this entire paddock wide open. Drop a comment right now. Tell me, is Justin Marks making the biggest mistake in NASCAR history by not building this entire team around Shane Van Gisbergen, or is MJ about to pull off the heist of the decade? Smash that like button if you want SVG in a Toyota. Subscribe so you don't miss the bombshell next week. And remember, we're the ANZAC NASCAR family. We don't beg for respect. We demand it. Stay loud, stay loyal. See you in the next one.